Let's talk about how to create a loft, as that is the basis of the way we will design lures, at least the outer portion, or basically what you think of as the lure, as opposed to the parts inside of it. So this here is this object on my screen is a loft, and it's created by a number of loft profiles, which in this case are just circles. Let's build this together. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm in a new file, I'm in the part workbench, and I am going to use this create primitive dialog to simply create a circle. For most of our lure design, we will start from a sketch, but for this demo, I want to keep it relatively short. So I'm going to create a circle, and I'm going to place it on the x-axis. You do not have to memorize this. And I'm going to create my circle. Now that I have a circle created, and it is oriented the way that I want it, I'm actually going to make a couple of copies of it. And I'm going to need 3 copies. Let's start with 2. These are both the same right now. I will make the radius of this first circle 6 millimeters. That'll give me a 12 millimeter diameter. And for the second, I will give it a radius of 8 millimeters. You see, I'm doing that down here in this data tab. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to move these circles apart because the lofts have to be separated in 3-dimensional space. So I can right click on the circle and choose transform, and I can use this to move it. And that's all fine and good. Now let's make our first loft. If I come up here, and we're in the part workbench again, and I come to this tool here, it's called Loft. Select that tool and we get into the taskbar here. And it shows us the profiles we can use, and I need to move them over here. And they do have to be in an order. I only have 2, so the order doesn't matter. Just double click them, click on Create Solid, click OK, and we have our first loft. Now you'll notice with a loft that only has 2 profiles that you just sort of get a flat transition between the 2. Obviously it's rounded from this direction, but from this direction it's flat. So we need a 3rd profile. I'm going to delete this loft. I'm going to come to this circle and I'm going to make another copy. And I showed you how to move that one circle, but I actually want to make an 80 millimeter long lure here, and there's a much more accurate way of doing that. So my first circle is the front of my lure. My second circle is the middle of my lure. And I'm going to come down here in this data tab. It's either view or data. I'm going to come to the data tab, choose the placement, expand the position, and you can see that we are 8 millimeters in the Y direction. There's a little guide, and the Y direction is pointing to the right. So let's put that halfway down the length of our 80 millimeter lure. And then let's take this other circle too and put it all the way at 80 millimeters. And let's change its size. We want the size of this to be, say, 4.5 millimeters. Now if I create my loft and choose all my profiles and create a solid, we're going to get a nice rounded shape. Again, we'll often be using our own custom sketches for lofts, but this just gives you an idea of how this works. Now, what the tool does is it tries to create a solid that it basically fills in the blanks between your profiles. So if we take, for example, this middle circle, which is here, and it was sitting at 40 millimeters, if we back it up to 20 millimeters, our loft is going to change shape. It's going to become fatter towards the front. If we bring it all the way back to, say, 5 millimeters, that's really going to change the shape. And you notice that my overall shape now is much wider than the actual, what I wanted to be the largest part of my loft. So we'll get into that in a lot more detail when we build our first lure together, as you watch any of the lure design videos. Thanks for watching.